In the vast expanse of the American Midwest, where roads stretch into the horizon and civilization seems like a distant memory, there lies a town forgotten by time. A place where the sun rarely shines and the nights are never silent. This is where our story begins. Jake Matthews, a solitary man with a penchant for exploration, had always found solace in the open road. His RV was more than just a vehicle. It was his home, his sanctuary from the world. But on that fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the mountains and the shadows grew long, Jake's sanctuary turned into a prison. The engine of his RV coughed and spluttered before giving up entirely. Jake cursed under his breath. He was miles from the nearest town, and his GPS had been acting up since he entered this stretch of road. He stepped out into the cool evening air, looking around at his surroundings. That's when he noticed it. A small town in the distance, nestled in a valley, half hidden by a thick mist. The town wasn't on any map he'd seen, and he'd driven this route before. But there it was, as clear as day. Jake felt a chill run down his spine, but he shook it off. It was getting dark, and he needed help. As Jake walked toward the town, the mist seemed to part, almost inviting him in. The buildings were old, their windows shattered, and the paint peeling from the walls. It was a ghost town, or so it seemed. His voice echoed through the empty streets, but no one answered. Jake's footsteps echoed ominously as he walked further into the town. The air grew colder, and the mist thickened, wrapping around him like a shroud. Then he heard it. A faint sound, barely audible over the howling wind. Children's laughter. Jake turned sharply, but there was no one there. His heart pounded in his chest as he continued down the main street, past dilapidated storefronts and abandoned homes. The laughter grew louder, now joined by the distant sound of a music box playing a haunting melody. It was coming from a small house at the end of the street. The door was ajar, swinging gently in the wind. Against his better judgment, Jake pushed open the door and stepped inside. The house was frozen in time, dust-covered furniture, a broken clock on the wall, and in the center of the room a child's toy box, with the music box perched on top, spinning slowly. The laughter suddenly stopped, and the room fell silent. Jake's breath caught in his throat as the temperature plummeted. He could see his breath now misting in the air. And then he saw them. Shadows, moving out of the corner of his eye. The shadows began to take shape. Figures of children, their faces pale and eyes hollow. They stared at Jake with a mixture of curiosity and malevolence. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if they were calling to him. Jake bolted for the door, but it slammed shut before he could reach it. The figures closed in, their whispers now a deafening roar in his ears. He could feel their cold breath on his skin, their fingers brushing against him. But there was no escape. The room seemed to close in around him, the walls shifting and twisting, trapping him within their grasp. And then, as quickly as it had begun, it was over. The whispers ceased, the shadows dissipated, and the room returned to its eerie silence. Jake stood in the center of the room, gasping for breath, his heart racing. The door creaked open, revealing the empty street outside. But Jake knew he was no longer alone. The town had claimed him, just as it had claimed all those before him. Jake walked back to his RV, his steps heavy, his mind foggy. The town was quiet once more, the mist closing in behind him. But something had changed. As he reached his RV, the engine started on the first try, purring to life as if nothing had happened. Jake drove away from the town, his eyes staring blankly ahead. But as he looked in the rearview mirror, he saw them, the children, standing at the edge of the town, watching him leave, their hollow eyes following him. The town had claimed another, and it would wait, patiently, for the next traveller to wander too far from the safety of the open road. For in that forgotten valley, time stands still, and the past never truly dies. Remember, the road less travelled might lead to places you were never meant to find, and some roads, once taken, may never let you go.